And I said to the voice inside my head, I was like, okay, you're going to guide me. Let's play a game. Tell me what to do. So I'm on. Welcome to season 1 of Beyond the Human. Remember who you are. I'm your host, Hazel Ray, singer-songwriter, experiencer, and messenger for those walking the edge of remembrance just like me. This is not a podcast to convince you of anything. Really, just take what resonates, leave what doesn't. This is a transmission, a call to the ones waking up, the ones remembering, the starseeds, the sensitives, the truth seekers, bridging science and spirit. If you're listening to this, you are ready. So let's remember together. Hi guys, and welcome to another episode of Beyond the Human. I'm Hazel Ray, I'm your host, and today our topic is signs you're awakening. So we're going to get straight into it. Basically, the first sign for me that I was awakening is I really had this deep disdain for the news. So my family would have the news on and I'm kind of sitting there looking at it going, where's all the happy news? You know, I feel like I would love to create on a TV station like a happy news segment, because I feel like everything on the news is just absolutely doom and gloom. And I don't understand. Well, I didn't understand. Now I kind of understand it as fear is one of the lowest vibrations that you can hold. Shame is lower, guilt is low as well. But fear in itself keeps you trapped. So if you think that the world is an absolutely, unsafe place to be, then you're going to live in fear. So number one was the news for me. I don't watch the news at all now. And I believe that the information and the things in my reality that I need to know about that will come into my reality, because I allow will be people in my circle that will give me that information. It'll get to me somehow. The other sign I had was, I remember my dad was really into action movies, and we watched a lot of them as a kid. And I found myself with my partner just going, I can't watch shooting and killing anymore. It does not serve me. I also didn't like anything with real gory imagery. And because I'd had these intrusive voices and intrusive thoughts throughout my life, I also didn't want to give my brain some really good visuals to continuously replay in my mind. Another sign was horror movies as well. I think the last horror movie I ever saw was when I was 22. And I just was like, I don't understand why people would want to feel this feeling of being absolutely scared. Another symptom or sign is, animal killing. So I never physically, that's a lie. I would go fishing with my dad when I was younger. We'd go out on the fishing boat and we'd catch these fish. And I do remember kind of struggling with that concept even then, but now I can't go and just cause animals pain or kill animals just for joy. It does not at all provide me any enjoyment or interest. And I'm understanding and seeing that this is happening all around. My dad and I were just chatting really not long ago, and he used to be a hunter. And in my house growing up, we had, taxidermy deer heads in our house. And I sort of said to him, like, you don't hunt anymore. You're not. And he said to me, I can't do it. I don't find enjoyment out of, killing animals. I think that seeing animals in pain, or even your plants. I look around at my plants in my house right now and I'm constantly looking at them going, what's wrong with you? Like, what can I do to help? And they're giving me signs of, say, wilted leaves or whatever. I'm like, I'm going to give you some water. And you just become really in touch with the other things that hold the same consciousness, living life force that you do. Another sign or symptom of awakening is just feeling a little bit crazy. I remember, obviously, when I really acknowledged that I was hearing voices in my head, and again, they're my voice. They're not other voices, but they had a different tone to them, not like how I would speak to myself. So, tackling with the inner voice, and then obviously having visual experiences where I'm seeing things that other people can't see. And not everyone will have necessarily those exact symptoms, but potentially feeling scared, feeling presence around them, feeling really like lost in the world, like you don't have a purpose, like you don't fit in, you're different from everyone else. They're all very, very common signs of awakening. And then there can come the loneliness with that too. I do really recall and feel into that, especially when I had my TV experience, when the television spoke to me, and the time when I went up into a spaceship. When you have those experiences and you're thinking about telling other people, we're indoctrinated to believe that anyone that has these types of experiences, or that if you have thoughts or you see things, that you're psychotic and yet you're crazy. And so the last thing I wanted to be deemed was those things. But having looked at the neuroscience and studied neuroscience at university and then been a science teacher, I can now look at that objectively and look at all of the data and see that I'm not crazy at all. And there is pharmaceutical chemicals right in here that are created with my body that can imbalance things, also can open doors for us to perceive things outside the normal spectrum. There's just so much in there that we're not being told, that keep the majority of humanity believing that those people are crazy or that there's something wrong with them. The truth is that everyone has these abilities. Some of them are just numbed or squashed down by limiting beliefs and fears and guilt and shame. And once we release those things, then those gifts can open up, because we unblock chakras and we allow DNA activation, which are all our antennas in our body for receiving messages from the subtle energy around us. That was a lot for you. I wanted to get on to synchronicities, because one of the really beautiful things I think that start to happen after you sort of have that awakened moment, after the disillusionment of understanding that everything that you've ever known is not how you believed or perceived it to be, is these beautiful synchronicities, whether it's starting to see triple numbers, so these angel numbers, or you having these experiences where you need something to show up and it does. And for me, was having conversations with myself and listening to my inner voice and going, you know what? Let's play a game. Tell me where to go, tell me what to do, and we'll see what happens. So I want to share this really profound story with you. So after my awakening, and I'd heard the voice that was telling me I was beautiful and that, you know, I deserve so much more in this world. And the voice was questioning why I wasn't releasing my music. Now, I hadn't sort of written songs since I was 20, and this was when I was 32. And interestingly, after my awakening, I wrote this song, the song on my Spotify, you can find it, it's called Find the Light. And it's all about, you know, trusting that your truth and finding the light in the darkness, the light of God, of source, of our creator. And basically, I just had written it on guitar. I decided to pick up the guitar for some reason, because I'm actually a pianist. And then I got a phone call from a guy I used to work with at a private school that I worked at, and we would sometimes dabble in chapel when the kids had assembly and write little bits and bobs of music, and I'd sing sometimes. I loved it, absolutely loved it. And he said that he was having a change in career and was becoming a producer, and he would love me to be a project of his. Would I consider it? And I said, I need to think about it. Anyway, so this one day I needed to go down to Kmart, which if you're in another country is just like a low budget shopping center where you can buy clothes and toys and things. And I said to the voice inside my head, I was like, okay, you're going to guide me. Let's play a game. Tell me what to do. So I'm on my way to Kmart, and I'm driving in, and I hear the voice and it says, drive down to the front row. You'll find a car spot there. And I'm like, in my head, in my thoughts, I'm going, oh yeah, cool, I'm going to find a car spot. Like, that's pretty boring. Anyone can find a car spot. Anyway, I drive down the front, and there's this car spot right in front of the doors and whatever. I'm like, okay. I drive in there, and I hear there's music playing in the car next to me quite loud. And he put your window down. So I'm like, okay, put my window down. And interestingly, the song that was playing had these lyrics in it that, you know, you're going to be successful on this path or trust the path. There was something really profound about my path on there. And so I was like sort of listening with my head close to the door. And then I'm like, okay, cool, like lift up the window, get out of the car to go get the kids out of the car, and the guy sitting in the car listening to the song turns to me and he's like, do you like this song? I was like, I just was listening to the lyrics and I found it, you know, quite touching. And he said, I'm a singer-songwriter. And I was like, oh, are you? And he's like, yeah, I actually just finished an album, actually. And he gets his album out, and as he's getting it out, he like pauses for a second, he looks at me and he goes, oh, I told him too that I was a singer-songwriter and that I've just been writing music lately, but I haven't recorded anything. So then, yeah, he pauses with the CD of his, and he gets a pen out and he writes his number on it, and then he gives it to me and he says, I've also just built a studio at the back of my house, so if you're ever interested in recording or producing some music, give me a call. I sort of started laughing. I was like, thank you so much, and I'll see, like, thank you, we'll be in touch or whatever. And I get to the back of the car to get the pram out, and I'm just like laughing and crying at the same time, because I decided to trust this voice, and this sort of synchronistic, profound experience happens, and I couldn't deny it. I was like, yep, all right, you've got me. I'm going to get on this path. I'm going to release my music with the world and let it resonate with those who need it, and those who don't, it won't reach. So everything holds a vibration, and we receive the things and the lessons as we need them and as they align with what we are creating on the path in front of us. So if you do want to listen to my music, please jump over to my Spotify, Hazel Ray, R-A-Y, and I have, I think, 10 songs out there, a lot of them mental health, spiritual based. So yeah, please get over there and have a listen. So let's talk about triple numbers. So I started seeing, you know, the 1, 1, 1, 2, 2, 2, 3, 3, 3. I saw 11, 11. And at the time, like, you know, there was this whole, like, your spirit guides are communicating with you. And, you know, it's a beautiful concept to feel that you have this spirit team that's, like, cheering you on. And you can look up what people have deciphered the meaning to be. But what I really liked as this sort of came along, and I would get sort of buzzed every time I'd see a triple number. And some days I'd see, like, oh my God, 1, 1, 1, 2, 2, 2, 3, 3, 3, like on the hour, and it would just be so strange. The thing that I tell people is, when you see a triple number now, is to ask, what are you trying to tell me? And usually, if you really feel into it, you'll get your answer. Mine usually is like a reminder that you're on path, and usually they'll come when I'm doubting myself or questioning what's going on in my life or things that are happening. But this wasn't enough for me. As time went on, I'm like, there's got to be something more to this triple number thing. I'm like, are we in a game where it's the triple number time and I get a button pressed and it buzzes me and I have to look at the time? And then I stumbled across the teachings of Nikola Tesla on the numbers 3, 6, and 9. Now I'm going to take you on a little journey right now. I'm going to probably have to move my microphone back so the sound won't be as great, but I think it's really important that I show you a bit of this numbers on a whiteboard. So let's do a little bit of it. Okay, so I've put up a whiteboard screen now, which those of you who are just listening will just have to listen to me explain the numbers. And the reason why I sound different is because I've had to re-record this, because I realized when I listened to the playback, I got a bit carried away with my whiteboard, and therefore when you're listening, you might have got a little bit lost. So the doubling sequence means that we start with one cell, and that cell divides to 2 cells. And 2 cells divides to 4 cells, and 4 cells divide to 8 cells. So they're doubling every time. So the numbers go 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, 128, 256, 512, 1024, 2048, and it goes on and on and on and on and on, into the millions and millions and millions. Now, what's interesting about this doubling sequence is we do an interesting thing where we get the root number of each number. So a root number is a single digit number, so any number between 1 and 9. So when we get into this, to the number 16 in the doubling sequence, so we've gone 1, 2, 4, 8, they're all single digits. We get to the number 16 and we get down to the root number, so we add the 1 and the 6, and that makes 7. 32 is 3 plus 2, and that breaks down to 5. 6 plus 4 is 10, and that's still a double digit number, so 1 plus 0 is 1. 128 adds together to make 11, and again that's double digit still, so we add them together and that makes 2. 256, that will break down to 4. 512 breaks down to 8. 1024, again 4 plus 2 plus 1 is 7. And then we have 2048, and then they all add up to 14, which breaks down to 5. So then we have in this sequence 1, 2, 4, 8, 7, 5. 1, 2, 4, 8, 7, 5. All the root digits of the biological doubling sequence that makes every living thing on this planet never breaks down to the numbers 3, 6, or 9. Which brings about that question of why? Why are 3, 6, and 9 not expressed in the biological makeup of the material world? And then I started to question about what's so special about the numbers 3, 6, and 9. Essentially, they potentially don't exist in this plane of reality. So then when I started to think about the spiritual numbers, and I found out and realized that they all break down to 3, 6, and 9, it got interesting about potentially what's communicating with us. So let's look at the spiritual numbers. Our triple numbers are 111, 222, 333, 444, 555, 666, 777, 888, and 999. Now, if you're watching this, you will see a nice whiteboard screen. And if we look at the number 111, we add the numbers 1 plus 1 plus 1, and that breaks down to 3. We add 2 plus 2 plus 2, 246 is 6. 3 plus 3 plus 3 makes 9. So already we have 3, 6, 9. Keep going, we have 4 plus 4 plus 4. That makes 12. And then if you add the numbers 1 and 2 that make 12, we break down to 3. Then we go to the 5s, and we have 5 plus 5 plus 5, and that makes 15. And again, if we add the 1 and the 5, that makes 6. We go to the 6s. 6 plus 6 plus 6 makes 18. You add the 1 and the 8, and you make 9. So we've got a repeater already of 3, 6, 9. 7 plus 7 plus 7 is 21. And 2 plus 1 is 3. 8 plus 8 plus 8 is 24. And 2 plus 4 is 6. And 9 plus 9 plus 9 is 27. And 2 plus 7 is 9. And I just told you that the biological living sequence of replication, all the root numbers don't ever have 3, 6, and 9. So we're theorizing that these numbers don't exist in our physical reality. And we see these triple numbers and they break down to 3, 6, and 9. Hallelujah, we are receiving signal message from the frequencies around us, the energy around us. And if you don't understand this, there is the bath theory that I've explained before. You can check it out on my Instagram. And basically, everything is connected. Everything is connected by frequency. So, an energy, because all we are is energy. And if we have one waveform and another waveform on top of each other, so many times we're going to end up eventually with form. Okay, so that we are just waveforms. everything around us is constantly communicating with us, and it's something that has been lost over time. Just on this, while I've taught you about synchronicities, just on 369, depending on how far down the rabbit hole you are, you would have come along Solfeggio Frequencies. And I remember after my dark healer had seen me a few times, she said that I should get onto 432 hertz, which is the miracle tone. And it's the natural frequency of Earth. It's sort of like the Om frequency. So I would listen to 432 hertz and blast them through my house. I would listen to 852. The higher the frequency, it's sort of, we're working on like sort of higher chakras, etc. But these Solfeggio frequencies all add up to 3, 6, and 9. So we've got a hertz of 174. You can look these up. 7 plus 4 is 11 plus 1 is 12, which makes a 3. 8 plus 5 is 13, 14, 15, 6. 4 plus 3 is 7, plus 2 is 9. 8 plus 5 is 13, 14, 15. So then we have a 6 again. And there's so many of these, so many. So if you want to learn more about this, again, I'll put up a link to a whiteboard workshop. But other than that, there is a book which I'll get. It's called Project 369. And this is by David Kasnecki. I don't know if I've pronounced that correctly. There's an absolute amount of information on the numbers 3, 6, and 9, supported by all of Tesla's research. I hope that helps, that when you see those triple numbers from now on, you kind of think about it a little bit differently, or even pay a little bit more of attention to it, because it's literally the energy, our consciousness, communicating with you to pay attention. So with the triple numbers and signs and synchronicities, another example of that for yourself is notice when you get goosebumps from now on. Because again, just as the same concept of receiving a vibration that indicates to you to look at the number, to see the triple number, I think for me, when I'm speaking to someone and I'm deeply involved in whatever they're talking about, if I'm listening and they're sort of asking me for guidance, sometimes it'll shoot me down the back of my neck like a sharp rod, and I'll get all these goosebumps. I'm not cold. And I remember when I was growing up, someone said, "Oh, someone's walked over your grave." No, to me, they're truth bumps. It's a sign to either indicate to the person that they're talking truth. Sometimes it can be when they're usually talking about a past loved one, or a sign that they thought they might have got, or some sort of information that I'm questioning. I get these truth bumps. So that's another one. And the other one that would happen to you is when you're thinking of someone and maybe you haven't spoken to them in ages, and then all of a sudden they message you or you get a phone call from them. This to me has been happening a lot more regularly. And what I'm trying to work out is, was it an I-generated thought and then they contacted me, or did they just pop into my head randomly and then I get the phone call? Because mark my words, I can guarantee that they'll infiltrate. It'll pop in randomly, like your higher self. I've explained this, I think, in the last episode, the difference between the I-generated thoughts and when the higher self is talking. And again, it usually is depicted like this. I'm sitting here, I'm going to record my episode. You should call mum. And it's like subtle and it's in the background. It sort of feels like it comes from behind you. So I see this as the same thing. I could be washing the dishes, or, putting the washing on, whatever the job is that I'm doing, and then I'll have this like little image even pop in, a memory or something about this person, and you've got to catch it and be like, that was really random. They must be thinking about me. That's how I see it now. And then lo and behold, sometimes I'll get a message from them, or I get an Instagram notification, something like this. And I just love these signs of magic of how we truly are all connected. And I do believe that in potentially this lifetime, we will be able to harness some of that. And all I see that is in that moment, my frequency and that person's frequency was aligned and they were able to send that message directly. But I don't think it always happens. Or does it? And we just discard that sort of background noise as it comes in while we're doing our eye-generated things. Anyway, something to think about. Alrighty, I'm going to leave it at that today. So remember, the world doesn't need saving, people do. And if we give the people the tools to save themselves, we save the world. I'll pop a link up here to my tool shop where I sell a few things that I believe are really helpful for helping you on this healing spiritual journey. And please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Please go and listen to my Spotify music if you're into that sort of spiritual kind of music. And send to anyone who you think might love this episode. And I just want to remind you that the world doesn't need saving, people do. And if we give the people the tools to save themselves, we save the world. I'm going to leave you with another one of my songs today that's also out on Spotify. It's called Afraid to Die. And it's a reflection on the fact that if we really can embrace that energy cannot be created nor destroyed, only transferred from one form into another. And if we're all energy, then yes, we exist after we die. Remember from the first episode, how do you know you existed before your first memory? But you believe you did. If that's the case, how do you know you don't exist after your last? I'll see you in the next episode. Have a lovely day, night, or wherever you are. Mwah. A leaf turns brown in the autumn and falls to the ground. A bird will flower in the spring, not questioning. And a bear will fall asleep in winter with no regret. So why, oh why are we afraid? We're so afraid to die. Butterflies transform from their cocoon and fly away. The sun will burst through the clouds and not shy away. And the roots of the trees will find their water with no eyes to see. So why, oh why are we afraid? We're so afraid to die. So why, oh why are we afraid? We're so afraid
say